Hi, my name is Monica Duarte and I am a brand identity alchemist and spiritual coach. And I'm here to assist you in creating a life and brand that's authentic with you so you can transform your life from the inside out. And today's video or wisdom that I have to share with you this week is about how to find and create success in your life. But before we get started, if you haven't already, please make sure to like and subscribe to my channel. The inspiration for this week's video actually came about from an experience in my life. For those of you that know, I used to live in Sedona, Arizona. I lived there for 6 years, and I recently moved back to the San Francisco Bay Area. I've been here for a year. And one of the things that I experienced being here is living with people that have a very different mindset, very different values, very different idea of success. If you've ever been in the San Francisco Bay Area, you'll feel it. A lot of the people here are focused on their careers. They're, focused on creating a business, which is awesome. I love that. That's why I'm here. But there's a lot of expectations that people have in regards to what success is. And for example, there's this idea that being successful means you have a lot of money. It means that you have a lot of nice things, maybe a nice car. And for somebody like me that's more focused on doing inner work, on spiritual topics, that kind of stuff, that was kind of like a gap for me where I was like, okay, well, how do I navigate this place that I used to live before? But I'm back and I worked on myself. How do I navigate it with who I am now? And so what I realized is that success doesn't necessarily have to mean the same thing for everybody. At least for me, when I realized that I was comparing my success in my life, in my career, based on the expectations of the people that live in the Bay Area, it was causing more stress. It was causing more anxiety, more fear. I felt like I had to reach this threshold of something that wasn't completely in alignment with myself. And so that's when I started to question myself and I started to ask myself questions to figure out why I was feeling this way. To figure out, is the idea of success that people have actually true? And for me, I realized that idea was not true. It didn't work for me. So again, I started to ask myself questions, and that's what I want to share with you today. Because we have to understand what our idea of success is so that we can actually live a life that's honest with ourselves, that's in alignment with who we are, instead of creating a life based on the expectations of others. And I can tell you that there are people on the planet that have a lot of money, they have a lot of nice things, but they're miserable. They're not happy. So then that to me started to bring up the idea or questioning, what does success really mean to me? Who do I want to be, and what does that mean to me as far as being successful? So the first thing that I did, and these are tips or steps that I want you to take as well, because it's really important for you to understand what success means to you so that you can actually live and create a life that is in alignment with you and is actually successful based on who you are. So the first question that I asked myself was, what does success mean to me? So you want to ask yourself, what does success mean to you? And write it down. Don't just ask yourself and answer it in your head. Literally write it down. Either, type it out, or you can write it down. I like writing, actual writing. So you could do that. And just with the understanding, what does success mean to you right now, without even digging deeper based on what you learned? What does that mean? The next question that I asked myself and that you want to ask yourself is, what are my core values, or what are your core values? And for me, because I've done quite a bit of work on myself, and I've also gone through the archetypal process that I offer for my spiritual coaching and my branding, I already knew what my values were. And the purpose for that is that you want to be clear what your values are, because your values are literally like your inner compass. If you don't have values, it makes it very easy to get distracted by other people's wants and needs, and to do things or to live a life that's not really honest with yourself. So having this inner compass or these core values is super vital for your life and for every aspect of your life, whether you have a business or you're literally just want to work on yourself and you want to create a more happy, more authentic life. It's really important to know what your core values are. The next question that I asked myself and that you want to ask yourself is, what is the legacy that I want to leave in my life? Literally, when it's time for me to leave this planet, what legacy do I want to leave behind? How do I want to change the world? Like, what impact do I want to have in the world? So you want to ask yourself, what legacy do you envision for yourself? For me, my legacy is literally to create a more harmonious planet where people actually are more respectful of each other and they're more understanding of each other, and where people really know who they are and they're more authentic with who they are and how they show up in the world. So it's important for you to ask yourself this question, because you want to be able to envision and see where you're going in your life. Like, what purpose do you want to create in your life? Like, what impact do you want to leave in your life? And it doesn't have to be anything like, if you're not feeling called to make an impact in the world like me, like, that's totally fine. But it's very important to be clear of what that legacy is for you. And then the last question that you're going to ask yourself, or that I ask myself as well, is, are my values and the legacy that I see for myself, are they in alignment with my definition of what success means? And if they're not, that means that my idea of success is distorted, because who we are as people, our values and the legacy that we have in our lives, for our lives, are coming from a very grounded, very solid, very deep place. And so if our idea of success is not matching that, that means that we are not living a life that's authentic with ourselves, that's honest with who we are. And therefore that idea of success is flawed. It's distorted, it's not real. And so then you want to ask yourself to change that. And this is what I did. Where did I get that idea of success? Like, where did I inherit that from? Because a lot of the times we inherit ideas or belief systems that are not even ours. They belong to our parents or to society. And for me, what I realized was that I picked up, and this is funny because, like, I actually, again, I've been working on myself for quite a bit, but I didn't see this until I asked myself this question. And I realized that my idea of success was distorted, and that I had taken on some belief systems from family members where they believed that money was everything. Like, to the point where, like, it didn't matter how they treated people. It didn't matter if they were disrespectful to other people. It didn't matter if they had to step over people for money. Now, I'm not like that, but I realized that, when you operate in that system, it's like you want to prove your value as a person. And so when you have that belief system that's passed on to you, you don't even know you're doing this. And you start to base your value as a person based on how much money you have, how many things you have. And that's not necessarily the healthiest thing to do. That's not a healthy idea of success for yourself or for the planet, honestly. So once you connect the dots as far as, like, if your values and your legacy that you see for yourself is not matching with your idea of success, you want to ask yourself, where does your idea of success originate? And how is it sabotaging you from creating a life that you truly deserve? Because here's the thing, at least with me, I realized that my success, my idea of success, when I looked at my values and when I looked at the legacy that I wanted to leave in my life or live in my life. To me, success means that I'm authentic with myself. It means that I'm doing something that is making a positive impact in the world. Like, that is so important to me. It means that I choose to create more meaning in my life. Like, I want my life to be meaningful. And money is important. I'm not saying that it's not. But to me, having a more meaningful life is so important to me. It's literally who I am. And so to compare myself to people who are basing their idea of success on money, on the things that they have, on status, that's not really honest with me. And it's not very kind to myself to try to force myself to live that way. So in the end, what I realized is that I'm already successful because I am living my life based on my values. I'm living my life based on my legacy, what I see for myself. And to me, that's enough success. And the rest, the rest is great. Like, the money and stuff can come after that. But to me, that's what I find value in, and why I was put on this planet, and what I love to do. And, I have my business. Like, what I offer is about helping people transform their lives, helping people to understand themselves better, helping people to understand how to create harmony with each other better. And again, to me, that's success. So when you realize that, when you realize what your new idea of success is, it's almost like, at least for me, like I stop pressuring myself. I stop putting all these expectations that weren't even realistic on myself. And I feel more focused in, what my path is. And I'm more assured that what I'm doing is the right thing for me. Like, I know that this is the right thing for me. Having my business, going on this path is right for me. And it doesn't have to be right for other people. It doesn't have to be right for the people in my family who are more focused on money and things. Like, it doesn't matter, because my idea of success is very different from theirs. And, I choose to be the kind of person that, again, is authentic with myself, and that I'm really seen for who I am, and that I create meaning in my life and in people's lives. And those are the people that I choose to surround myself around and to learn from as far as success goes. And again, the other stuff just kind of flows naturally after that. So don't let other people's idea of success get to your head. Don't let them dictate who you are. Figure out what your own success is and build your life around that. Figure out what your values are and figure out what your legacy is and build yourself around that. Build your life around that. And as long as you're focused on that and you understand that what's important to you, you are already successful. It doesn't matter what other people say. So now what I want to share with you is a really powerful tool to help you figure out if you're still kind of in that place in your life where you're learning more about yourself. This tool is going to help you accelerate that understanding or that process. And that is my archetype guides test. So if you haven't taken my archetype guides test, you want to make sure you take it now. I'll post the link below so you can do that. Because archetypes are literally energies that live in our unconscious mind, and they've always been there. And when you understand what your strong archetypes are, you can get to know yourself better. You can get to understand your values more. There is a way to understand what your values are based around the archetypes that you have. The first thing is you want to become aware what your top archetypes are. And then what you do, because those archetypes are already in you, they already are operating in you and they've always been there, and your strongest have always kind of stayed in that strong range. All you have to do is literally tune in, like close your eyes and tune into those archetypes and ask it, what are your values? What are your values? Like, what are the values that you have to share with me? And literally just meditate on that, just feel it out and start to write down what you're getting. And then notice, because at least when I did this process, for me, a lot of the things that I already thought were my values were already in alignment with my archetypes. And also knowing your archetypes makes it really clear what your passions are. Like for me, my top archetypes are the magician, and which is the alchemist to me, and the creator. And if I look back on my life, everything in my life has evolved around spirituality and creativity. So by understanding yourself better through working with archetypes, you can actually figure out what your values are and what your legacy is. And at least for me, knowing that my magician is one of my top archetypes, and that what I'm doing in my life is literally about transforming people's lives, that made it easy for me to realize that that's one of the legacies that I want to leave, is to help transform people's lives. With the creator archetype, the creator is about being authentic. And that's another value that I have. And it's also, what I do is to help people create more meaningful, more authentic lives. So this is how you work with the archetypes. So just to recap, you want to ask yourself, what does success mean to you? And then you want to figure out what your values are and figure out what your life legacy is. And if you don't know what those are, you want to work with the archetypes to figure that out. You can take my archetype test, figure out what one of your top archetypes is, and then tune in to that archetype in you and ask it what values it has for you. And then write those down. And then also tune in to that archetype to figure out what legacy you can create by working with that archetype. And then everything will just fall into place. And then you'll base your success based on something that's actually real, something that's solid, something that's actually practical and really powerful. And when you have that clarity, it makes it easier to navigate life and to not get distracted by other people's ideas of success or other people's ideas of what you should do or who you should be. So I hope you found today's guidance helpful. And in the comment section below, post what your life legacy is. Just post that, or some of the values that you have. Or maybe also post what your idea of success was when you first started compared to now that you've done the process, to see kind of how you've evolved, because I would love to hear from you. And if you enjoyed this video, please make sure to like and subscribe, and also make sure to take my archetype guides test so that, again, you can figure out what your top archetype is. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next week. Bye.